in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, you never know where those votes are coming in from, but 57% of the vote,
About 3,500 vote margin.
Yeah, about 15-point margin. That's pretty solid. What affected that issue have with the votes and the $10 for votes? I'm not sure it had much impact. Dominic beat him by 20 points, a little over 20 points in the preliminary. What you have to do is you have to consolidate, if you're Justin, all the other folks.
And he had the backing of all the candidates.
He did, basically. Yeah. And so getting from mid-20s to 50 is not easy. So he got into the 40s, but the margin, it proves that, the ground politics, we were just talking about how Dominic Sarno, you put him anywhere, he knows everybody, or their parents or their cousins or whatever, has a story that he can tell. I will say this, though, there's a trend in Springfield that's underway, and that is becoming a community more of color. In 4 years, this could be a different result. You've seen the legislative delegation in Springfield change, the people of color.
Sure.
I mean, it's great to see. So you're seeing the city council.
It's overdue.
You have a newcomer like Jose Delgado, second highest vote getter. So I think, Sarno works hard. He had a fair amount of money to tell his story. People like him. I'm quite sure his favorability numbers in any kind of polling would be very high.
Sure.
So I think, that carries the day at the end.
So we look ahead in his concession speech, Justin saying you haven't seen the last of me, basically. We'll be back in 4 years.
Hard to do, because you're not going to be in a public posture. I just mentioned Jose Delgado, right? So he's a newcomer. You and I will be talking in 4 years. He'll have 4 years under his belt. He has a business background, finishes second in the city council. I'm not promoting him to run for mayor, but I'm saying if I were him, somebody like that could be out there in 4 years. So, I think whatever happens with Dominic, whether he runs again or not, I think that the city is trending towards a person of color being in the...
I would think, too, in 4 years from now, he'll be almost 65. He will have served as mayor for 20 years, longer than anyone. That maybe he's just looking at this as his last term.
Maybe.
When I have him on, I'll ask him that question.
You have to ask him that. He's going to be non-committal, I have a feeling.
Non-committal, yeah. He finds a good way around it. But City Council, Katie Walsh, again, running first. Tracy Whitfield running, Jose Delgado running second. Tracy Whitfield third. Sean Curran fourth. And Brian Santinello back on the council, finishing fifth.
Yeah, that's interesting because, give Katie Walsh credit. She's been there a long time. She speaks her mind. She goes to everything.
Yeah.
And for her to finish first, I mean, that's kind of a legacy vote for her. It just shows that people appreciate her. Delgado, someone I would keep an eye on. Brian Santinello, who was a city councilor a long time ago, comes back. He wrote in on the fact that the city needs to be safer. Crime. Curran's incumbent. And Tracy Whitfield, again, another woman who speaks her mind, up in the upper tier here. So it's interesting. You see that kind of diversity, but you see people who have a strong kind of point of view. They're all in the top five there.
Come back to talk about that. Chris Johnson, mayor again, Agawam's first mayor. He's mayor again tonight, elected by a pretty good margin over Cecilia Calabrese, 70. What do we have? 54 to 45%. So
Agawam's first mayor when they changed their charter. Trains ran on time when he was mayor. I think he had a good reputation. Look, Brian Santinello came back in Springfield. Doesn't mean you can go in and come back.
You never know.
So he obviously did a good job first time around.
All right, Chicopee, Mayor View reelected, Westfield Mayor Mike McCabe reelected. We're looking at Greenfield, though, where it looks like Mayor Roxanne Wiedegardner is going down to defeat tonight by City Councilor Virginia DeSorger. We're talking about that, the issue of Mayor Wiedegardner reinstating Chief Haig, Police Chief Haig, after a civil case where a jury found that he discriminated against a black officer. It sounds like that came back to bite her.
It has to be that. Yeah. Has to be that. So you have a fairly liberal community in Greenfield. We're living in the post-George Floyd world where we've all seen the horrors of discrimination and police brutality and that kind of stuff. So to reinstate somebody with that over his head, that had to be a driving force for people to say, wait a minute, don't agree with that. Maybe it seemed like a proper thing to do at the time. to flip that vote like that for an incumbent is pretty significant.
A pretty significant margin, too, that Woody Gardner lost by.
Yeah, there may be other issues. I know the school funding was an issue up there, that the mayor kind of cut the increase. So it doesn't take, listen, we were saying earlier you can't be a one issue candidate, but if it affects a lot of people and it's something that's high profile, like discrimination, that can affect people's vote, even on the local level.
Greenfield proving, too, that just because you're 70 doesn't mean you have to retire. Both candidates are over 70 years old. So
good for them. You know, good candidates come in all sizes and shapes and stripes and ages.
It's like a good wine.
It's amazing. Yeah, you have a good message, you can get through.
Say in East Long Meadow, the override questions for the school and for the pool, both passing there by a pretty good margin in both instances.
Yep. It's more of a bedroom community, more people with families, with kids that want better schools. It is not easy to pass a 2.5 override. I've done a few of them. That is a hard thing to do, but it tells you that the demographics are tilting in that direction.
All right, Paul, we're going to wrap up here.
All right.
Paul and I will be back at 10 on Fox 6, at 11 on ABC 40 and CBS 3. And, of course, you can get the latest results and reaction to those results at westernmassnews.com and on the Western Mass News app. I'm Dave Madsen for Paul Robbins. We'll see you on the news at 10.